What's happening, y'all? I know I'm a little late to the party here, but I'm just getting some things set up. This is my second time going live, so I'm trying to just make sure that everything is everything. So just bear with me, and we are going to start it. I see Horace Phoenix has entered the chat. I appreciate you coming through, family, because we are going to talk about a lot of different stuff today. I was talking to my wife for a little bit, and what I was telling her was when it comes to this topic, I feel like I'm probably going to have to do maybe somewhat of a series instead of it being a thing where I'm trying to cover all this stuff by the time, we're done with this talk today, because there's a lot of different stuff to talk about with this topic. So we're going to go ahead and get started in just a minute here. I just need to get a few things up and we are ready to go. But yeah, there's a lot to get into. And Horace, I'm hoping that you can stay for a good while because there's definitely stuff I know that you're probably going to want to comment on. But while you're waiting on the topic, let me know how y'all's day is going. How's everything been y'all's way? Have you been having a productive week? What's been happening? It's live, pal. You silly fam. But anyway, we're definitely going to get into a lot of different stuff when it comes to this topic. So I got a lot of notes on it, and I got a lot of things that I just want to kind of discuss and bring up. So we're really going to get into the anti-blackness of WWE real heavy. So yes, indeed, we will. I need to link my PayPal as well too for all of y'all who want to support, who want to, give me a little bit of something, I'll put that in the chat. But let me just go ahead and fix a few things up and we can go ahead and get started. Let's see here. Right. All right. I know we are going to go over New Day and R-Truth tonight. You already know, man. You already know I'm going to talk about that. Definitely New Day, because you already saw the picture, so you knew that was going to be part of the discussion. So yeah, definitely. There's a lot of black wrestlers we're going to talk about, and just a lot of different things, because I want to break this down psychologically, because a lot of times when we talk about racism and things such as WWE, or even when we talk about TV shows and movies and things like that, it tends to be this discussion of kind of what has actually happened, like the occurrences itself, like me providing examples or somebody providing examples. But I want to really talk about the psychology of like the agendas that are going on and the way all this stuff is really being portrayed. So we're real, like I said, we're really going to get into all of that real heavy. So let's see here. There seems to include black women in WWE more than black men. Do you agree? I do, and that's something I'm also going to get into as well too. So I would agree with that statement, but I think there's a lot of nuances with it as well, and I think that's part of what I mean by there's a lot of agendas and there's a lot of psychology that we really need to discuss here. So I'm going to give it another minute or so, and then we are going to definitely kick this conversation off, because again, there's a lot to discuss with this. So definitely gonna get into a lot of it. So stick tight, y'all. I'm gonna run and do something real quick, and I will be right back. So don't go nowhere. All right. See, we got 6 people in here. They definitely booked the women better, for sure. Yeah, we really need, what we really need to talk about is why it happens more than Like, is it happening or is it not happening, right? I'm interested in your perspective of why Black women seem to be included more. I got you. We're, like I said, we're going to dive deep into it. So let's go ahead and get started on this topic. For those of you all who came through, I appreciate it. Welcome to the Cool Colas channel. Today, tonight, I guess, we're going to be talking about the anti-Black racism that is in WWE, but we're really going to take it from a psychological analysis, and we're going to provide, different examples, and we're going to just have a discussion about all of it so we can flush it all out. So I got things to talk about. I got notes here as well, too. So we're really going to kind of go in heavy. So the first thing that I want to kind of start off telling you about is how I even got into WWE in the first place. So I really wasn't into sports like that growing up. I didn't watch sports. I didn't watch football, didn't watch basketball, still don't. I always found it to be kind of boring, but I was an athlete. I used to wrestle for 3 years and I played football for 1 year. So I was somewhat into sports from the standpoint of actually playing them, but I wasn't really much of a, watcher of sports. Even to this day, like if you talk to me about any type of game that's going on, whether it's a basketball game, whether it's a football game, whatever the case may be, it's like talking to Chinese to me. I'm just not tuned into any of that shit. But going back though, the point is that the only thing that I did watch that was somewhat, sports-esque was WWE. And the reason why I bring that up is because WWE to me almost falls into somewhat of a different category than just watching your typical football or watching your typical basketball. It's not like, the same concept, but just a different, sport itself. There's, other aspects to it. And we'll get into all that, like I said. But going back with WWE, I watched it between 2002 and 2000 and either 6 or 7. I stopped for a little bit, then I started back in 2013, and then I watched it until 2019, pretty much all the way through. Then in 2019, I took a break again because I didn't really like the direction that it was going. Certain stars was leaving. I didn't like the way that they were playing certain people and stuff like that. So I kind of like took a break again. Then I started back up in 2023, and I've been watching it since 2023 again. So I've always had like kind of a in and out relationship with watching WWE because I'm a wrestling fan, but I just don't like what they be doing in WWE. So let's talk about it. I came to this revelation during the Royal Rumble that happened a couple weeks ago. And I've been picking up on a few patterns that I've kind of noticed. It's things that, I thought were just random occurrences, like many random occurrences of racism. But ultimately, I realized that there was a pattern and there's a certain structure in the way that, racism is actually done in the WWE. And we really need to kind of look at that. So, of course, I already knew that WWE was kind of like either the MCU, but the people just didn't have powers, or it was more like a reality TV show, soap opera, but fighting was also in the mix. That's how I've always conceptualized WWE to be. So whenever I think about WWE and its storylines and everything like that, I have always considered it an athletic competition, but not in the same way that, again, a football or a basketball would be. I bring that up because for me, when it came to WWE, I've always seen it as a thing of, how are we looking at the talent of the wrestler? Not necessarily like this wrestler bested this other wrestler, and as a result, they won this belt. Because I know that's not how it works. You got storylines. You have things that are crafted before we actually see the shit live or see the shit on TV. So I say all that to say that I always have looked at it as an athletic competition based off of how the wrestlers showcase their athleticism, not necessarily based off of like this wrestler just beating this other wrestler. So I say all that to say I've always taken it from that standpoint and thought about it as, well, obviously the company would promote the person who was the most athletic or had showcased their athletic skills the best. But that's actually not the case. There's actually a lot of agendas and things that are being done with WWE where they're selectively choosing who gets a belt and who doesn't. And a lot of times Black wrestlers are left out. So we're going to talk about that as well. How's it going, brother? This is my first time catching you live. I appreciate you coming through, fam. It's going good. We are talking about the anti-blackness in WWE today. We are going to go hard body. We're going to talk about a lot of different things. So I'm glad that you were able to make it. Pull up a chair, get some popcorn, whatever, because like I was telling people, we got a lot of stuff to talk about with it. But so going back to what I was saying, so I always seen it as an athletic competition, but more so as the way the wrestlers were showcasing their talent versus this wrestler had beat this wrestler in a legitimate competition. So what I notice is that there's different agendas that they pull, and one, and I may not cover everything today, but I really want to get into the critical things that we should probably focus on when it comes to this topic. There's been racism since back in the day when it comes to WWE. And what a lot of people like to assume is that it's ended. We're now in this era where, it's they're now promoting women, and they're now promoting black people, and they're now promoting other quote unquote people of color, like they like to say. It's not that type of deal. There's still a lot of racism. So, if we look at some of the past things that have happened, you've had where Vince McMahon said to John Cena, "Keep it up, my nigga." So that was one instance of racism. You had the storyline where Triple H he cut a racist promo with Booker T, and he talked about how he had nappy hair and how people like him don't get opportunities, and all this other stuff, alluding to the fact that he's black. And then you also have a thing where even in that feud, he actually, like, Triple H still won, despite the fact that the audience wasn't really feeling it, despite the fact that obviously it was supposed to be a racist promo. And Triple H seemed very comfortable with cutting this. And you can kind of see it in his behavior now, but we'll get on your boy Paul Levesque, or however the hell you say his last name, in a minute. Now, not only does the racism in WWE happen inside of WWE and their storylines, it also happens outside of the WWE. There's also controversies that go on with wrestlers that are behind the scenes. So one instance of it was you had where Ric Flair, or it was noted by Teddy Long that Ric Flair once approached him and said, "Do you like working here, nigga?" So there was one instance of racism backstage. Then there was also a rumor too of Charlotte Flair back in 2008 getting arrested in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and she was supposedly hurling out racist slurs. So you have that instance as well too. Then you have a lot of things with Hulk Hogan, which is a little bit more recent, where Hulk Hogan was, screaming out, the N-word, and it was caught on tape and all this other stuff. So you had that instance. Then you had the thing with Tiffany Stratton. You had the thing where Tiffany Stratton had posted the video where she was, and by the way, I can't stand Tiffany Stratton. We're going to get into all that in a minute, but I can't stand her as a wrestler. Like, I just really don't get the hype. But anyway, Tiffany Stratton was caught posting a video where she was hitting Jade Cargill off the ring post. And for those of you all who are not familiar with who Jade Cargill is, she is a black wrestler who used to be on AEW and is now on WWE. So she's hitting her off the ring post, and she inserted this clip where this black woman was saying "black bitch," but she was inserting it at the moment where she hit Jade as if she was the one calling Jade a black bitch. So there was a controversy around that where she deleted the video. And some people were saying it was racist. Some people were saying it wasn't racist. It was clearly racist, right? Because you have a clip of a white girl trying to make a joke about calling a black woman a black bitch while hitting her. That is totally racist. And so on top of that too, the worst part about it wasn't necessarily just what she did, but the way the entire situation was handled. Because what they basically tried to do was erase it like it wasn't a big deal, because they said that Tiffany was so talented that they just did not want to get rid of her. Even Dave Meltzer, who's another suspected white supremacist, was sitting there saying, well, normally with this type of situation, we get rid of somebody, but she's just so talented. So they were trying to pull that type of stunt with her. And what they essentially did, and I talked about this in the video, so go check it out if you have not yet, where I talked about how Tiffany Stratton is a suspected white supremacist. I talked about how Tiffany Stratton showed that she's a suspected white supremacist in other ways as well too, because she was even caught on Instagram liking some MAGA shit. She basically was liking some stuff that Trump had said. So you can kind of see that this is not just a joke that she kind of played as a one-off, but she has a certain mentality where she might actually be aligned with the conservative right to a certain extent. So you can kind of see the habits there. My point in saying all this is that was another racist act that happened behind the scenes. Another thing that also happened as well too, you had it where you know, there was a thing where they were trying to basically make it where certain wrestlers are being like black wrestlers are like put into certain situations where they're not promoted the best way that they could be. And so WWE has a number of different agendas that they put black wrestlers into. They either try to put them into temporary diversity pandering, which is what I would call it. They try to put them into this stereotype porn, and we'll get into that as well. Or they put them into this black jobber movement. So it's always like they put them into some type of weird situation where they're not promoted the best. And going back to the situation where I talked about all the different instances of racism that happened in WWE, one of the things that I wanted to mention too is with all the wrestlers that I named, that being Hulk Hogan, that being Ric Flair, that being Tiffany Stratton, that being Charlotte Flair, every last one of the wrestlers that I just named are overrated as shit. Let's just keep it a beam. Every last wrestler that I just named that I said did something that was racist is overrated. They're just not that great of a wrestler like they're being portrayed. Think about it. Hulk Hogan's moves were shitty. His special move wasn't shit. And he was always known for doing that ear shit. You know, that thing, he was always known for that shit. But outside of that, he wasn't shit. Ric Flair wasn't really shit. Ric Flair, matter of fact, the only thing that really made Ric Flair popular was the whole woo shit. And then when it comes to Charlotte Flair, clearly she's eating off of her damn dad's legacy and some nepotism shit. And then the other thing about her and Tiffany I do want to say is I feel like they fit into that bill of what Vince McMahon wanted and WWE wanted. They wanted this ideal of having a white woman who's kind of funny looking and they got to have some type of surgery or a whole bunch of makeup or some shit like that. They got big ass titties and they have asses as flat as a damn ironing board. And then they say they're the greatest shit smoking because they can do a fucking moonsault. Whoop-de-fucking-do. There's so many black female wrestlers who can do a lot more than a goddamn moonsault. Let's just be real. Let's see here. Triple H versus Booker was the worst book feud ever. I don't F with Trips because of that. I don't fuck with him at all, just generally speaking, to be honest with you, because it's not even just that storyline, but it's even the way he's booking, you know, these wrestlers now that he is actually in charge. You can see the racism. All facts, Montez Ford and Shelton Benjamin could have easily been world champions. We'll get into that as well, too, especially with Montez Ford. So going back to what I was saying. So you have multiple agendas now that black people get into. And I mentioned, I think 3 of them, which is the temporary diversity pandering, stereotype porn, and the black jobber movement. When I say temporary diversity pandering, I mean like they love to showcase certain black wrestlers to make it seem like they are tapping into some type of diversity thing where they're meeting off a checkbox because they promoted a black wrestler, but they don't really want to promote them. And again, we'll get into that. They have stereotype porn where a wrestler is a negative stereotype about black people, where the wrestler is extra ghetto or the wrestler is a dumbass. And that's where you get like the R-Truths. Because somebody had brought up, I think it was Horace, you brought up R-Truth. That's where you'll get R-Truth from. Because with R-Truth, they have it where he's just like over the top damn stupid. He's like the dumbass Sambo who doesn't even know left from right. He thinks 2 + 2 is 1. Like they just have him just doing all types of Sambo shit. And he's old as hell too. So there's no reason why they should really have this old dude like doing Sambo shit like how they are. Like it's almost to the point where it's just a running joke. Like he's almost like portrayed as mentally ill. So that's why I say like I don't really fuck with that. And they also again like they typically put black wrestlers in these stereotypes where they are literally black stereotypes. Or in these gimmicks where they're black stereotypes. I'm sorry. And so the black jobber movement is where they have a black wrestler and they portray them on TV only for the sakes of feeding them to some white wrestler. So they are hyping that white wrestler up. It's like some almost like some magical Negro type shit, but they're not magical at all, right? It's like they're promoting that white wrestler by saying, hey, this black wrestler, he or she is like a throwaway. So they do that quite often. Let's see here. Just like they don't like black superheroes. It's the same concept. That's why I said WWE is like the MCU, but the people just don't have powers. It's the same thing. They take certain storylines, they misportray black people, they put certain tropes and agendas and things like that onto them, and then they just play the show the same way. Let's see here. Would you compare him to the magical Negro stereotype? Never mind, you just said it. Exactly. Yep. Basically they are like the magical Negroes whenever they're jobbing to white wrestlers, because you see that quite often. One place I see it currently is with the wrestler Michin or Mia Yim, whatever you want to call her. It's like they only have her there for the purpose of jobbing to Chelsea Green. And mind you, I don't mind Chelsea Green. She's all right, but like they're trying to have her job to Chelsea when Michin is actually a pretty decent wrestler from what I've seen. So they like to do stuff like that. Or another just infamous jobber is Apollo or Apollo Crews, whatever the hell you want to call him at this point. Apollo Crews has proven even that he's actually a pretty good wrestler, and he's good on the mic. Like that's the shit that surprised me. He's actually good on the mic because they just don't give him the opportunity to actually speak. You know, dude is actually he's buff, like he's strong as hell. You know what I mean? Like he has some great moves. He's, like I said, highly athletic, quick, you know, agile. He also, again, he was spitting, like, especially when you had the feud with Hurt Business, like you could see like his talent, but he's just a classic jobber. And I feel like they keep him around just for the sakes of him being a damn jobber. So that was another thing that I kind of noticed, is that they tend to do stuff like that. Now, one thing that I've noticed that WWE is good at, and this is the way that they keep up the racism that you see, is they play what I've talked about before in regular media, the both sides agenda. Now, let me explain to y'all what the both sides agenda is. This is a concept that I came up with based off of me studying Neely Fuller Jr., combined with conversations that I had with Marcus Bowden. Shout out to him, by the way. I don't think he's here to listen to this live, but he helped me to kind of like rethink about it in certain ways as well too. But the both sides agenda is basically when the white supremacist tries to play both sides of the equation. They try to play both the supporter and the oppressor. And so what that looks like is I'm just going to give you an example. You may have like a black character who was portrayed, like, so let's say that there's a movie that may have a character that typically was known to be white, and they just happen to race swap that character and they make them black. So both sides agenda typically happens in these situations, because what will happen immediately is you'll have these white racists who are like fans of either that comic or that TV show or whatever it may be, and they'll rant and rave and bitch about the fact that they see a black face there. And they'll start talking about black washing, and they'll blame black people for the fact that their face is there. And then what will happen is the white folks who are on the left will go and they'll either defend that black person, or they'll allow this commotion to go on. And the reason why I say it's both sides is because they're playing supporter, because they're either one portraying this black person like it's somewhat of a diversity initiative, or two, they're supporting that black person while racism is happening to them. So it makes it seem like that individual is not racist, when in fact both sides are actually racist and being very exploitative. So on the side of the left, you have to think about it like this. They're exploiting that black character. They're doing a race swap. So they're not trying to give black people real shine. They're not trying to give them original content, and they're not trying to portray authentic and original black faces. So that's one thing that they do. The second thing that they're doing is, if they sit there and they defend or that, that black person from these racists, and it makes it seem like they're not racist and like everything is changing and things like that. So that's another way that they get off. They also profit from our image without really giving too much to us. Another thing that they do is they tend to already put negative tropes on that image on top of what they're doing. So I'm saying all this to say that the white supremacists, when they write stories often with black people, they love to play the both sides agenda. They love to play off both sides of the equation, where one side of them is oppressive and the other side of them is supportive, or they try to at least make it seem that way. Let's see here. Obafemi in NXT is booked crazy good, so it's something about the main roster they just don't do right with them. And yeah, and I wasn't planning to talk about Obafemi, but I'm glad you brought that up. One thing I noticed is you can see as a case study what happened with Carmelo Hayes. Carmelo Hayes is a phenomenal wrestler. He has a great gimmick. He's like I said, a good like wrestler on the mic, and he's good like as far as like talent and athleticism. And he also was a pretty decent deal in NXT, especially when you think about his feud with Trick Williams and all of this other stuff. But if you look at how he's portrayed on the main roster, they play him. I mean, they have him having a feud with damn Akira Tozawa and all this other shit. So that's why I'm saying, like, a lot of people, and like the arguments that have been made against the things that I'm saying is that, well, this person is being promoted on NXT, so let's see what happens with them on the main roster, as if you don't fucking know what's going to happen with them on the main damn roster. These wrestlers don't get treated the same way when they get called up, these black wrestlers specifically. And I wouldn't be surprised if they actually bullshit Trick Williams when he gets called up as well, too, if they call him up, of course. And don't get me wrong, I would love to see him in action, on the main roster, but I am dreading the way that they're going to treat his character, if I'm being totally honest. Anyway, going back to what I was talking about. So the both sides agenda. So this is an important lesson, y'all. So I really want y'all to take this in. The reason why both sides are racist in this situation is because one side is being exploitative and the other side is being blatantly racist. So these are both ways that people can be anti-black, specifically the white supremacists, why they can be anti-black. And it's important because they believe that, when I'm speaking on the left side, that if they portray a basic symbolic representation of black folks, then that will basically remove them from this idea of being called a racist or being called somebody who is supportive of black people. So this happens time and time again. And a lot of black people, when they're reacting to these situations, will just go for the jugular of the very blatant racists who are like, I don't want to see a black person on screen. I'm not saying that they're part of the problem or not part of the problem. What I'm saying is that there's two sides to the equation and you need to pay attention to both. So whenever you see this is what's happening. It's not just, oh, there's a bunch of racists who don't want to see black excellence or whatever the fuck people say. It's actually the fact that there's two sides that are actually feeding off of each other. So I brought this up because in WWE, they do a specialized version of this both sides agenda. And it's what I would call the, I'm trying to give it a name so y'all kind of understand. It's what I would call the fake fan versus creator tug of war agenda. So it's similar to this thing that I also call happy medium pacification. So I'm going to define all this so you can kind of get in tune with what the message that I'm trying to convey. Happy medium pacification is when a white creator, specifically a suspected white supremacist, portrays a black person on television, on a movie, or some form of media. And they portray him enough where somebody can see that they portrayed a black person, but not enough that they give them actually real promotion and real shine and a real legacy based off of the history that they've made by even being portrayed on screen. So in other words, they give you just enough so black people can go crazy over it, because for some reason, whenever pacification is actually portrayed, black people just think it's the best shit smoking. And this is something that's been going on since back in the day, y'all. I've talked about how blaxploitation was the original, was the original pacification, because at that time it was during the 60s where there was a bunch of riots because black people were getting knocked over by the white supremacists. So they decided to riot and revolt. And this was happening all over the country. and then they used black exploitation images to calm the storm and to try to calm like what was happening with black people. So they do their own version of that today in the idea of showing these symbolic images. But again, they show these symbolic images enough where you can say, hey, a black person was here, or we have some shit to hold on to, but not enough that this person is really truly promoted. Don't forget why they include women more than men. I'm not forgetting. I'm gonna come back to it. Stick tight. We're gonna get to it. Just bear with me on this, because I'm trying to teach y'all something about the way that this is showing up. So when it comes to happy medium pacification, that's basically what that means. But when it comes to the whole idea of the fake fan versus creator tug of war, what they're trying to do is, make it seem like they're playing somewhat of a hot potato game on who's to blame about the poor representation of black people. So what they'll basically do is they'll have it where the creators misportray black people in these WWE storylines where, they're not really given, the spotlight, they're not given belts, they're not given good opportunities, they're not given like all these other things that they should be given, right? But then they'll, if they're criticized for it, what other people will go back and say is, well, the fans, they typically like to see A, B, C, and D. A, B, C, and D being they typically don't like to see black wrestlers at the forefront. They want to see some type of white wrestler there. So now the fans are getting blamed, like the blatantly racist fans are getting blamed for this idea that black wrestlers are not being portrayed. So then it goes back to this idea of now the creators are saying they're doing it to appease the fans. The fans are basically going back and saying, well, they're written bad, or they'll go and they'll try to kind of allude to other things. So it's a kind of like a hot potato where you're like, who's to blame? Is it the creator or fan, creator or fan, creator or fan? But ultimately it's both of them. And they're trying to make it seem like, it's a finger pointing game, but they're essentially working together because all of it ends up equaling this idea of black people, getting harmed in the process. And sometimes what they'll do, and I'll speak on the fans specifically, is they'll nitpick at wrestlers to say, well, the reason why they're not getting promoted is because, their mic work sucks, or they do this thing terrible, or they're not as good as they used to be in the ring. And they typically like to nitpick at black female wrestlers. So now this is where the black female wrestler thing comes into play. They typically like to nitpick at them and basically say that, they're not doing enough, or they're not good enough to have the spotlight and all this other stuff. And I've seen a lot of those wrestlers who they promote and they give belts to. Charlotte is okay. She's a decent wrestler, but she's not all that like they make her seem. I've seen many matches too where even people like Bayley has like flubbed a lot of damn matches, but I see her getting the belt quite a bit. Becky Lynch to me was a okay wrestler as well, but because she did that whole man shit and all this other stuff, everybody's like, okay, we're going to promote her. And here's the thing. Even with that, they can't go back and say, well, it's a language barrier. It's the way they speak. It's this, is that. Because half the time when I first was listening to Becky, I couldn't understand what the hell she was saying. But then at a certain point, I started being able to hear her as she got better and things like that. The point I'm making, though, is that they'll promote all these like white wrestlers and they won't look at all these little things that they can nitpick at, but they'll nitpick at wrestlers like Naomi. She's one of the ones I see quite a bit. They'll nitpick at Jade Cargill. And I know a lot of people, Horace, I know you're in here. I know you don't really care for Jade and whatnot, but they nitpick at her. I'm just going to be totally honest with you. They nitpick at her. They nitpick at black wrestlers, especially black female wrestlers, and what things that they could do better. And the reason why they're not getting promoted is because of that thing. So that's one thing that I typically see. And so I think that there's like, because like a lot of people hear that and they're like, well, I don't hear this. I don't see like fans blaming creators blaming fans. This is something though that's practiced in common law and it's really instinctive. So I want to make it clear that this is something that's happening kind of in the background, and that's the reason why these things keep going on. And so you also have it where, you got Triple H in control, right? We talked about Triple H and how he's problematic to black people getting promoted properly. I mean, he clearly was cool with portraying that racist storyline back in the day. And you can see much hasn't changed, because even in the interview, when he was questioned about the black wrestlers and whatnot, he was talking about how he doesn't see color. And it's obvious that he doesn't see color when it comes to black people. But there's a level of hypocrisy, because here's the thing: you're still promoting your product so that it appeals to fans who typically want to see some type of white wrestler be at the forefront. So you do see color, when it comes to white wrestlers and being able to promote them properly. So that's what it ends up kind of boiling down to. So that's why I say that when it comes to the idea of poor promotion, it's an idea, it's based on this idea that a tug of war is going on, and that tug of war seems like, certain people are getting heat, that being fan or creator, but the only people who are just totally not benefiting from this are black people. Now, one of the examples that I wanted to kind of give of where I see Horace, she said something. I watched Jay from AEW WWE. She's just fine. We don't have too many strong female wrestlers, so she fits a space that's lacking. And I just think that honestly, I'm gonna be totally real. Even the mistakes that she has made before, I've seen a lot of white female wrestlers make those on a regular basis, and nobody ever says anything. They just wait for somebody like a Jay to fuck up so that they can point it out. So that's why I say, like, I think that there's this idea of nitpicking and criticizing black female wrestlers when they do something. I don't see it so much with the black, male wrestlers. I think that they do something a little bit different with them. But again, I'll get into that. I'll definitely get into that. But one of the things that I also noticed too is that when they portray black wrestlers, if they portray them at all, they're based off of cheap pops and if they go viral on the internet and that type of thing. And one place where this happened was with Kofi Kingston. Now, I want to take this in a certain angle, right? I want to compare what happened with Kofi Kingston's title reign that went based off of being viral versus Cody Rhodes' title reign based off of being viral. So if you look at Kofi Kingston's title reign, although it was off of him being viral, there were a lot of accolades that him and the New Day had made before he got this push. I mean, let's be honest, y'all. The New Day is probably, arguably, and some of y'all might disagree, but I don't think very many of you all will, is arguably one of, if not the best tag team in WWE. The only tag teams that I can think of that are actually even close, especially if we're just talking about, post the Attitude Era, are the Wyatt family, the Shield, the Bloodline, I guess. And then in the Bloodline, it was ripped from the Hurt Business, or what they were trying to put on the Hurt Business. But I'll get into that another time when we talk about this topic, because again, I'm going to probably do this topic in parts. And then the Dudley Boys. Those are like the only tag teams that I can think of that are close to the New Day or in the same range. Because a lot of people will be like, oh, well, what about Evolution? Not with Triple H's punk ass. What about DX? Not with Triple H's punk ass. And Shawn Michaels is overrated as shit. What about the Brothers of Destruction? I like them both. I like Undertaker. I like Kane. But I think that they're better separate than together, to be quite honest with you. So, but the New Day, they were just so cohesive. They worked very well together. They all were great on the mic. They all were at least B level or higher on the mic. Xavier probably was like S tier, if we're being quite honest. Xavier was just like godlike on the mic. Big E was good. Kofi was good. Kofi was probably the weakest, and he was great. As wrestlers, they're all great. I think that Big E was probably promoted the most as far as being a top tier wrestler. Kofi Kingston has the most longevity and accolades, obviously. And then Xavier is the most underrated. But like Xavier is just as talented as the two of them, if we're being quite honest with if I'm being quite honest with y'all. But when it comes to the Kofi Kingston's title reign, he had a lot of accolades. And in the New Day, they had 12, I believe, championship runs. Like they had the belt 12 times, if I'm not mistaken. So they were really making history with what they were doing. So I think that it was very much deserved. Whereas with somebody like a Cody Rhodes, it's like he left for a while, like he hung his hat up. He went to AEW and he made that a big deal and all this other stuff. Then he came back to WWE and he basically was handed that bitch within like a year. So you can see the difference in that. But the New Day have been building themselves up for like 5 years. Because think about it. New Day started forming around 2014. And they started off as good guys. Nobody was really fucking with them. And then they turned into villains. As villains, I mean, they just took off. They were amazing. They were catchy. I remember the thing where like they put the wrestler in a damn corner, and then Xavier would be on the damn trumpet, and he would go, and then like Kofi would run from the other side and kick the motherfucker in the face. Like that shit was great. That shit was great. But my point is that the New Day was, they definitely had a lot of accolades that led up to that. Kofi didn't, or not Kofi, Cody didn't really have a lot of accolades before actually being given this major push. And even within that major push, think about the way that it happened. It felt like, Cody was easily forced into this position. And to a certain extent, Kofi didn't even really fit the story that was going on. The story that was happening was really between Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and The Rock, right? And everybody who Roman Reigns had took down. Cody, so-called finishing his damn story, wasn't even really that important to what was actually happening overall. He was what I would call maybe like a good casualty. Like casualties usually, get the slight, but he received a reward is what I'm getting at for a feud that didn't involve him whatsoever. Whereas what happened with Kofi was organic to a certain extent, because again, he went viral. He had been talking about how he had all these opportunities, that weren't given to him, despite the fact that him and the New Day were phenomenal. He had the gauntlet match where he took down AJ Styles. He took down Randy Orton. He who else did he take down? He took down it was somebody else I can't think of right now. Oh, Jeff Hardy. He took down a whole bunch of people who are just known to be good wrestlers, right? And then he beat Daniel Bryan on like the big stage and wrestle on WrestleMania. And then they had him unceremoniously lose his belt to Brock Lesnar within seconds, which was just some bullshit. And by the way, have you noticed that all the black wrestlers lose, like the male wrestlers, they lose their WWE championship to Brock Lesnar at some point? Think about the psychology of black wrestlers always losing their belt to some big white boy. Like, think about the way that psychologically looks. They keep doing that shit over and over again, which again is another pattern. Let's see here. I've seen memes about Brock Lesnar stopping black wrestlers from maintaining their championship. That's what they do. That's what I'm saying to you. It's like a psychology. It's like this idea of watching all these black male wrestlers get bested by this big old white boy. That's literally what they're trying to portray by feeding them to Brock Lesnar all the time. Like they can't measure up or they can't beat them or best them. But then, they'll have somebody like Seth Rollins play a chicken shit for like fucking like a year and a half. And then when he comes back and he's a face, all of a sudden it's like a David and Goliath type of shit. But when it comes to all these black wrestlers, all of a sudden they just all got to go down because Brock Lesnar's in town. Yes, at Duke he was. Remember when Xavier was Consequences Creed and TNA? Yes, I do. Yep, I saw one of his matches with Booker T actually recently. So yeah, I do remember that. Xavier has always been very talented. I just think that he gets played the most out of all the New Day members. Because even if we're comparing New Day to the Shield, which I like the Shield, by the way, Shield was probably like my second favorite tag team, right? But even if we're comparing them, look at how well they promoted the members of the Shield versus the members of the New Day. The New Day members, Big E and Kofi, were the only ones to even have a WWE main title belt, and they both only had it once. With the Shield, I mean, Roman Reigns has had it so many times I can't even count. Seth Rollins has had it a bunch of times, and Dean Ambrose, who is now John Moxley, had it at least one time. Brock is the unspoken plantation sheriff. Basically, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's a psychology behind it. What do you think of R-Truth? I talked about that earlier, but I think that they just have him being a performative Sambo. I mean, they want him to be this dumbass coon who just walks around and just shucks and jives and just does dumb shit. Like I said, he can't even do fucking basic math. They have it where he's so stupid, he's almost mentally ill. Like, it's clear that they're trying to make fun of black people as if to say that they're stupid. And you know, I feel like a lot of the dominant society really just gets a kick out of this shit, because what a lot of them do is they try to laugh at different ideals that perpetuate black people as idiots, because you can kind of see how like they chuckle at little shit like that. Whereas I see our truth acting like a dumbass, and I'm like, they just got this nigga just doing all types of just crazy shit. You know, a lot of black people are just looking at it and they're kind of just shaking their heads, because I don't really laugh at his stupidity that much, right? But like white people, I mean, they're just cracking the fuck up. They're like, oh yeah, look at this dumbass nigga. They get a kick out of that bullshit. So I noticed that they do that. Also too, another thing that I noticed is that even like, you know, with their title reigns, obviously Cody's title reign is longer than Kofi's. And on top of that too, I also noticed, that was weird. Hold on one second. I also noticed that you know, even when it comes to just past WWE champions and putting them in the main title picture or putting them as a big deal in Royal Rumbles or Elimination Chambers, they don't really include Kofi like that. They act like he's a mid-card act and has always been. They like conveniently forget the fact that he was actually a WWE champion for a little bit. You know, they forget that he had a feud with Samoa Joe and he had a feud with Randy Orton, and I think he may have had a feud with Kevin Owens and whatnot. But they just don't put him in the picture like he's a big deal. He's not up there even with the likes of like CM Punk and Seth Rollins and, you know, Kevin Owens and all these other wrestlers who they consider, I guess, part of their top card. You know, you just don't see him being put in the ranks like that, you know. And I get that probably the idea was to make it where at one point the New Day and the Bloodline would feud with each other, you know, and then Big E got injured. But to be honest, they could have pulled that feud a long time ago, and that would have been dope if they would have had, you know, the two groups actually face each other. So yeah, they just don't treat him the same. So you can tell this stuff is obvious, right? But how come black women are more normalized? We're gonna get to that. We're going to get to that. I'm telling you, just have some patience. We're gonna get to that. Do you support reparations? I've created a whole reparations plan for black people. Are you willing to read it? What's your email? Yeah, of course I support reparations. You can look at my channel and tell I do. Are you new to the space? Because you asking me that question, that's like that's like asking is fire hot. You know what I'm saying? Like, but yeah, I'll send it to you. Hold on one second. I'll send you my email right now, as a matter of fact, and I'll check it out. But going back though, yeah, of course I support reparations. Like I have videos talking about it. I'm just reminded because I have a feeling you're going to forget. I'm not going to forget. I told you I'm going to discuss it. Let's see here. Black women purchase more. I think that's why they push them far often. Black women are a demographic. They have the stars to really push. That's what I think. Yeah, and like I said, we are going to get to that. I need y'all to just stay on topic with me. Stay on topic with me, y'all. All right. So, I also noticed that you know, when it comes to, you know, Kofi Kingston, another thing that they tend to do is they tend to make him like a circus act, kind of like they do with Naomi, because they had this thing where they used to have them doing tricks every Royal Rumble, like it was a trend or some shit for a while, and they would do handstands and all this other shit, and then it would just never warrant to anything, right? Like every Royal Rumble, you'll have a thing where Kofi was about to get eliminated, and he would be standing on his hands, and he would be able to flip himself onto some damn stairs or some shit, and then you had Naomi, and she would jump from the ropes to the like a table and all this other shit. They used to have her do real performative shit. So yeah, they like to do that with wrestlers, but then that amounted to nothing as well too. So it's almost as if they know these wrestlers are talented. They just are using them again to do acrobatic acts. I've been watching you for a while. Okay, well then you already know. Yeah, you know I support reparations then, because I have videos talking about it. I actually have a video where I break down, you know, how we could get reparations, what that looks like, and what the full plan is. So that's why I was saying, were you new to the channel? Because I mean, I've talked about it on so many videos. So let's see here. They want black men to be like Mr. T. That is very true. I also noticed that he was not in the Rumble this time. this time around, but it's like every other time they have him as a circus act, and minus the time where it was, I think, like after Brock Lesnar eliminated him, they had this thing where Kofi like had some angst and he wanted to fight back against Brock, and him and Brock are in the ring, and then Brock still eliminates him. Like it's like they literally are trying to make black people a non-factor on purpose. Now, another thing I want to talk about, when it comes to the difference between the black female wrestlers, I'm here now, y'all. I'm here. When we talk about the difference between the black female wrestlers and the black male wrestlers, there's another agenda that they like to pull, and I would call that the diversity symbolism agenda type of thing. So I've noticed personally that when it comes to Bianca Belair, that they promoted her quite a bit. And don't get me wrong, I am a huge Bianca Belair fan. I love everything that sister is doing. The outfits are fly. The aesthetic is cool. She's probably top 2 best female wrestlers ever in WWE. And I'm gonna be honest, she's fine as hell, y'all. I mean, I'm sorry, baby. I'm just telling the truth. That's probably like my wrestling crush. She already knows. She's probably giving me the evil eye right now. I already know. But anyway, my point is that Bianca Belair is phenomenal. So this is what I'm saying is not taking anything away from her. But when it comes to Bianca Belair, they are promoting her a lot, and that's because they tried to promote her as a diversity marquee. They promote the women better because they tend to do this also in movies as well too. I mean, like look at like movies and TV shows. Look at a lot of like things where they promote like black women as like the main what's the word I'm looking for? They try to promote them sometimes as the leaders of the black community, the people who are going to be the pro-blacks, the people who are going to lead the charge in fighting racism. It's kind of like that type of concept, but WWE's version of it. They love to promote them as these different diversity ploys, because even if you, I don't know if you noticed this, even with Bianca, they love to put her a lot of times on promotionals. Like, let's say that they're advertising some type of event. There's sometimes where Bianca is like in some type of mid-card feud, and like they'll have all these top card wrestlers, and then they'll put Bianca in the picture with all these other wrestlers who are being promoted in the top card. These female and male wrestlers, you know. And so I noticed that they will you know, put her in that picture as well too. There's times where I've seen they put her and Jade in there, and they have you know, try to you know, just try to show black women, you know, in these different pictures, right? They don't want to show black men because, you know, ultimately showing a black man on television or in some type of power-esque type of role gives them power. It gives black people who look at this, especially kids, because they're trying to promote this as a kids TV show, which is some other shit as well too. They know that if a black kid is watching this and they see a black wrestler who is on screen in a power position as a champion, as somebody who has some type of prowess, somebody who can be respected, then they can possibly inspire other black kids to one day want to be just like them. But they don't want to give them that type of promotion. They also know that there's this desire with black women to get them to what's the word I'm looking for? They try to get black women to they're more easily led when it comes to these types of opportunities. They can pander to them more easily in how, you know, how the aesthetics actually look, because they play off of the idea that women in general just like attention. And part of getting attention is creating an aesthetic that looks like they're empowered, or like they have some form of excellence that they're showing, and that type of thing. So black women think that this is a something that is honorable. This is an honorable accolade, an honorable thing that they're being given. Whereas black men, a lot of times, unless they're just sampling, can kind of see through the bullshit. And even if they can't, still that picture of that black man is something that they don't want people to see. So let's see here what people are saying. All them Rumble saves and he never won. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, he never won. Naomi never won as well too. I'm in love with Evil Eye. I'm in love with Jade Cargill. Jade Cargill is bad as well too. I'm more of a Bianca guy because Jade, she's muscular. She's really cut. So I give it to her, but she a little too muscular for me versus Bianca. Bianca got the abs and all that, and she's cut, but like Bianca just, she just kind of just has it. Zendaya has been every single place possible. That is very true. And then she may not even be in the show at all. Yep, exactly. Sorry, jumped in late. Great topic. Hey, chat. Sup, Kenny? Okay. Anyway, so going back, the reason why they promote black women versus black men is because they know how to appeal to black women versus black men. They know that black women will eat up accolades and the ability to show them as being and looking excellent. And they think that this is some type of moniker of them making history, when in actuality, racism and all this other stuff is still going on. They think that the company that is promoting them or that is putting them on or is showing them in the spotlight is actually in the fight with them to stop racism or that type of thing. So that's the reason why they can appeal to the emotions of black women more than they can to black men. So it's easier for them to literally promote black women and then not like show black men whatsoever, or basically try to bury them. It's easy for them to do that. And I'll actually take it a step further with the whole Bianca Belair thing, because there's something I want to talk about with that. I think that they are literally trying to create a gender divide even. Look at what they do with Bianca Belair versus what they do with Montez Ford. Both of these individuals are top tier wrestlers in every regard. They both are great on the mic. They both are absolutely phenomenal as wrestlers. They both have a great aesthetic. They both just have an it factor. I mean, they are like the definition of what people would see as the power couple when you look at them as far as black people goes. I mean, it's a great symbol. It's something that is very like just good to see in general, because a lot of times in media images you don't see them placing a black man and a black woman together who seem to have a harmonious relationship. And that's what it kind of seems like with Bianca and Montes. But what they're trying to do is they're trying to divide them by kind of shifting the gender roles. And you can kind of see how they're doing that even in their TV show. I don't know if y'all watched that, but one of the ongoing things that they talked about in the Bianca and Montez show is how Montez is feeling a lot of maybe low-key insecurities because he doesn't know where his place is at in WWE, whereas Bianca knows her place. So this is them trying to drive a wedge to almost shift like the gender roles. Like Bianca is wearing the pants and Montez is basically on the bottom. They're trying to make it like where, she's making more money. She has more notoriety, so she can pull more ranks, and it actually causes friction within their actual relationship. Because think about it, Montez Ford is always relegated to being in a fucking tag team. And Bianca Belair, although she may sometimes be put in a tag team like right now, there's been multiple times where she has been WWE champion. So again, multiple agendas can kind of go on even at once. So while they may be burying a lot of black male wrestlers, they're also promoting certain black female wrestlers, which causes fans to be confused and people who are not analyzing all these things to see everything that's actually happening. Let's see here. I found a lot of mentions of anti-blackness during the Nation of Domination reunion. Yes, that was another faction where there was some like racism in the storyline, like being discussed and stuff like that too. So no, for sure, that also is another good one. I had planned to talk about that on a different video, but I agree with that for sure. What I was going to say though is that going back to the whole Bianca Montez thing, I just kind of noticed that they try to shift the dynamic of what is kind of happening with them, and I don't really like that. Because Montez Ford is a phenomenal wrestler. He might be the best male wrestler on the roster right now. If we're just being honest, like athletically, the dude is just a monster. I mean, let's be real. I mean, I've never seen anybody do a frog splash as high as damn Montez Ford. I mean, this dude literally looks like he's flying. I mean, he literally looks like he's almost gliding through the air like Knuckles the Echidna. Let's just be real. Like that shit is like literally freakish. So to me, I feel like I believe that they are, I'm not going to say I know, I know that they are literally choosing to not promote him because there are even black fans who are regularly saying, why are you not promoting Montez Ford? This dude is great. He is a great wrestler. He has great mic skills. He has the look. He has the charisma. He has definitely has the athletic ability. So why are you not promoting him? And I'm going to be completely honest with y'all. I'm going to say something that nobody talks about, like literally nobody. Dawkins is actually kind of good as well, and he doesn't get promoted for shit. Dawkins should at the very least, had an Intercontinental Championship run, at the least. And I say all that to say, I mean, look at all the wrestlers who like are white, who've had an opportunity to grab that belt, and they've just been okay, or they may have had something that was cool about them, right? Dawkins is pretty decent as a wrestler. He's not Montez Ford. I ain't gonna hold you. He ain't Montez Ford, but he's decent. And I'm saying all that to say that there's a lot of black wrestlers that are like that, where you just forget that they're there because WWE has done everything in their power to make them a non-factor. And this, y'all, is anti-blackness. When you do not properly represent black people, or you undercut them despite all the things that they are doing and all the hurdles that they are jumping. Because let's be real, if you look at the black wrestlers that are on the roster, past and present, a good majority of them, most of them, were better than just about all the white wrestlers that are on there, or non-black wrestlers that are on there right now. Let's just keep it a whole buck. There may be a few exceptions. There's a few like white and non-black wrestlers who are, who are just stellar, but for the most part, the black wrestlers are just athletic freaks. They're way better than the ones that you see that typically get the belt. Let's see here. I feel you with the divide, because we had to suffer Becky and Seth on screen for months. I wish they would just let Bianca go heel with Montez and build them up. That would be great. I'm going to be honest with you. I liked what they were doing when they had, Montez, Dawkins, and B-Fab together. But what it should have done was it should have led to the promotion of all three of them. Because I watched B-Fab in the ring, and I'm going to be honest with you, she actually was pretty good. I was like, I think about like Hit Row and how all that turned out, right? But I also realized that B-Fab was actually the most talented on Hit Row. Or from what I actually saw, I felt like she was the most talented. And she's incredible on the mic. I mean, she has the mouthpiece from hell. Let's just be honest with you. Let's just be honest. But when it comes to the actual like athleticism, like the wrestling, I noticed that she's actually really good even in the ring. So I think that these tag teams should be built up so that all the wrestlers, when they become singles competitors, can take off and to go to great heights. But what they like to do with black wrestlers, and specifically in this case, like the Montez Fords and the Dawkins, and I guess B-Fab is going to get grouped into this to a certain extent, they just keep relegating them to tag teams or being the tag along partner, or they're the magical Negro. Because going back to the whole magical Negro thing, they also one of the places I saw it too recently, and I don't know if y'all watch wrestling, but like I caught this in one of the storylines. Remember when they had it where Bianca was holding a grudge against Bayley because of everything that her and Damage Control did to her? And then Naomi was divided because she was saying that Bayley was her best friend all of a sudden, which made no fucking sense. And then she also was cool with Bianca as well, too. Like, that was some magical Negro shit. And that was a way to hype Bayley up as a champion and to put her in the forefront, and Naomi was her support. Because where the fuck did this best friend shit come from? Like, I could see if it was Sasha Banks when she was in, Mercedes Moné, when she was in WWE, and they try to put her with Bayley and they try to have them fight Damage Control if she would have been there. But it's like they had Naomi acting like she was best friends with Bayley. That was some silly shit. And again, I want to be clear. Whenever you see a magical Negro trope, a lot of people see that and they're like, what's so wrong with that? That, y'all, is anti-black. That is 100% anti-black, because you're making the message that black people only are there to serve the purpose of promoting this non-black or white superstar or character that should be put in the forefront. So that was some magical Negro shit when they did that. Let's see here. I like them as a group as well. I liked how fresh they were when they would walk in. Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, the gear's all right too. I agree. Angelo is good, man. I like him. Okay, so I'm not the only one. I noticed that. I'm like, he's pretty decent. I watched him in the ring, and for him to be, a big dude, he seems like he's pretty athletic to me. I agree. Dawkins is very good as well. Yep. So yeah, I'm not the only one who feels that way. Bobby Lashley left WWE because he knew they were going to be playing with them. Start, kill so much momentum. I like when they had Lashley. I agree. Lashley, to me, I feel could have been in the same role that Brock Lesnar was in, but they totally did not promote him the same way. Lashley to me was a very good wrestler, and he got that WWE belt way too late for me. Think about it. I think Lashley got that belt, in 2021? Like, that was like his first, I think, WWE title reign. And then they had him like lose the belt, I think, to Big E, right? Or because I think Big E cashed in on him or something like that. So, yeah, like that's my thing is like they just don't promote their black wrestlers well. And then when it comes to Bobby Lashley, he really fit the group when he was with Street Profits. And that should have been a way for them to use him to basically boost all of their careers because they already done fucked up with the whole Hurt Business thing. So the next best thing would have been to put him with Street Profits, and they all basically took it to the top. But that's not how it happened once again. Let's see here. If you get a chance, brother, check it out. Our Black Sci-Fi columnist goes on and on about how you're on point. I will check it out. I will for sure. By the way, were you? Because I'm kind of late on my emails. Were you the person who emailed me about? I think it was like a group that was started or something like that. I'm just trying to make sure because like I'm kind of behind and I like try to get to all my emails and whatnot. But if you are, let me know. Bianca should have beat the brakes off Bayley for that prior year. Not gonna lie. Yes, that's another thing too. They'll also undercut important storylines of black characters, or I guess black wrestlers in this case, in order to promote the stories of white wrestlers. So in the case of Bianca, her story with Bayley was totally cut because they were trying to promote bitch ass Tiffany Stratton. That's the only reason. I mean, let's be real. Because when it comes to like Bianca, one thing that I noticed is that with that storyline, one way that they could have played it was they had it where Bianca went to Money in the Bank. Now, some of y'all may hear this and you're like, okay, well, that probably was more of a Chelsea Green thing. And I would entertain that argument to a certain extent. But I feel that when it came to the whole thing of her getting the Money in the Bank briefcase, that should have been a thing for this past year. And then she should have cashed in on Bayley. And that would have been the revenge of her getting her belt back. But instead, they totally scrapped it. And they act like everything's just okay with them now. Like they may not be cool, but they at least can tolerate each other. That's not how it should have went. It should have been a thing where Bianca basically cashed in on Bayley and said, now what? We should have really saw her heel turn, honestly, a long time ago. But I think that the reason why I say they neglected that storyline in place of what was happening with Tiffany Stratton was because I feel like I believe that when it came to the whole Tiffany Stratton thing, she got the briefcase so that she could go on to be the champion, and she could go in as champion, during WrestleMania season. And what's funny about that is Tiffany really just got on the roster. Like she ain't really been on that bitch like that long, if we're being totally honest. So you can tell they're just trying to push her to the top. And by the way, that story that they had with her, that story really wasn't shit either. Oh my God, she was getting bullied by Nia. And to be honest with you, like her plan really wasn't even that cool or a genius or anything like that. They were dragging that shit along. We were like, all right, already, just give her the fucking belt. Like nobody really wanted to see the damn storyline after a while. So I say all that to basically say they put so much stake in Tiffany, to the point where they dragged it out where people just didn't even care anymore, just so that they could give her the belt. And they literally sacrificed their other storylines, including the one with Bianca, which they built up well with her versus Damage Control and Bayley, just so that they could give the belt to Tiffany. That's why I say that was like a Tiffany Stratton thing more than anything. Let's see here. Right. I did not like that best friend thing. I wish they would have kept the Bianca and Bayley story going because it was a good storyline. They could have made it seem like after a while she was noticing that Naomi was trying to play both sides. She ain't like that shit. And Bayley was trying to act like this good person, and she didn't like that shit either. So she was just going to turn a new leaf, and she was going to take that briefcase and she was going to knock it upside Bayley's head and take her belt. Like, that's really what they should have done, and they didn't because they were trying to promote racist ass Tiffany. Like, and by the way, like, even with her promos, y'all, I got to get on Tiffany's ass for a second. This bird-looking bitch, like, I don't understand the hype of this chick. Even when it comes to her wrestling, she's okay. She's not spectacular. She's okay. When it comes to her looks, she doesn't look all that like they're trying to make her seem. I mean, she got some titties, but she really ain't got no ass at all. I mean, like, her ass is as flat as a damn MacBook. I'm just being totally honest. But when it comes to, like, even her mic work, it's like all she does is say Tiffy every 5 fucking seconds every time she does a promo. Like, nobody wants to hear that shit all day. Like, that's why I said, like, I just don't get the hype of Tiffany damn Stratton. I never will. I hope they take the belt off her soon. Matter of fact, I can't stand this chick so much. I hope Charlotte takes the belt off of her. I really just don't understand the hype. So, anyway, let's see here. It's no accident when a white guy adopted a rapper gimmick and we got a slew of undeserving black champions that the product is nowhere close to what it once was. Modern wrestling is hot garbage now. I agree, but what I will say is that I don't think that black wrestlers were ever promoted properly the way that they should be, right? And I'd even go as far to say is not only do they not promote black wrestlers well, they really don't do well with promoting foundational black American champs. Like, let's look at this for a second. How many foundational black American champs have they really had? Booker T, I believe he may have had the World Heavyweight Championship, if I'm not mistaken, but that reign wasn't shit. They had The Rock, which The Rock is FBA, y'all, in case you guys are confused, because some people, they see The Rock and they're like, how the hell is he FBA? He is. I know y'all forget it because The Rock seems to almost come off like he is promoting his Samoan side more than he does his black side. Let's just be real. But he is FBA. He's the only like long-term champion that you can really think of that is FBA that was actually really taken seriously. And if we're being totally honest, The Rock was promoted because of his Samoan side. And even now, you can tell even in what he does, he puts on more for the Samoans than he does for black people. That's why now you see so much promotion with like Roman Reigns and Jey Uso. And, Roman Reigns was already kind of handpicked, but like Jey Uso. You see more promotion with Jacob Fatu. You see more promotion with, the new bloodline, Solo Sikoa and stuff like that, because The Rock had some influence there. Let's be real. But if The Rock really was putting on for black people, then we would have some black wrestlers who really are in the ranks. So shame on The Rock for that. You got in a position where you actually could have actually put black people on. I mean, like, I had this conversation with, I think it was Horace, actually. I think me and you talked about this, bro. But like, I was talking about how when Mark Henry was in WWE, he was putting on for black wrestlers, especially like Bianca and all of them. So if he had Mark Henry's mentality, then there probably would have been more, promotion for black wrestlers. But of course, he doesn't. So I say all that to say that FBA champions are even less promoted, especially FBA males, because even a lot of the champions I discussed today, a lot of them are non-FBA. Think about it. Big E, non-FBA. Kofi Kingston, non-FBA. Bobby Lashley, not FBA. I mean, you see what I'm saying? And that's another thing. A lot of people are confused about that. People are like, oh, Bobby Lashley, he's FBA, ain't he? Bobby Lashley is Panamanian. So let's see here. What's good, chat? I am, and we love to have your input either in videos or articles. I will have our PR person send you another email. Yes, and my apologies about not being able to get back to you in time. It's been a lot of stuff. going on, but I definitely will respond back. I appreciate you bringing that back up to my attention, though. But yes, please shoot me another email. I would love to get in touch with you. Another story that ended horribly. Melo and Andrade went a beat of 7, only to both to lose to LA Knight for absolutely nothing because he loses his belt to Shinsuke. And that motherfucker hasn't defended that belt. The way you said it though, bro, that shit is funny. But anyway, yeah, I agree. That's what I mean by like even the way like Carmelo Hayes is being promoted kind of on the main roster. It's just like he's a joke. I also noticed too they did that little diversity spot when with during the Rumble where they had like all the black women all kind of huddled up. And it was Bianca, it was Naomi, it was Lash Legend, and then it was Jada Parker. And they had them all together and they were doing this like, black girl huddle thing. That's some diversity shit, y'all. And that's what I mean by like because I think one of y'all who was in here, I think it's Slender Sporty. You were talking about how like how are the black women treated. That's what I mean by like the diversity ploy. They like to do little stuff like that because they like to make it seem like that's their way of putting on for black people. So they use black women as an anchor to do that. They try to say, oh well, look, we put all the black women together, so that shows this thing of black excellence. That's why you always see them huddled up. But then they had it where Chelsea came and broke it up, and then the racist ass white fans were chanting Chelsea's name. So that's what I'm saying. Like they have a way of doing certain things where they're using us and they're also like undercutting us so that we're not given the opportunities that we deserve. And the reason why I put it in that context is, one could argue that, oh, you're just saying this because, you're black yourself and you want to see black wrestlers do well, but it's just the idea that the talent alone is there. So they're proving themselves by showing how talented they are. I mean, you got these black wrestlers who are doing flips and all types of tricks and all types of shit. Like, look at Carmelo Hayes' matches. They're all 5-star. Like, no matter who he wrestles, he always is carrying the match or he's like neck and neck with the person. The only person, like I said, who he had like a good back and forth with was Andrade, And a lot of the Hispanic wrestlers are pretty decent as well, too. But the point I'm trying to make, though, is that Carmelo Hayes, when he wrestles, or every time I've seen him wrestle, he's basically out-wrestled everybody he's basically faced. Unless they were like super big and, he was being used as like the rag doll that you can just throw the hell around. Let's see here. Facts. Bird looking. She is, man. Like, I don't get the hype of damn Tiffany Stratton. I feel like, I'm gonna be honest with you. I feel like Tiffany Stratton just looks, she's like in the bottom 10 for me for WWE chicks. Like, as far as looks go, she's in the bottom 10 for me. They gave those boring white twins their own reality TV show. Are you talking about the Bellas? If you're talking about the Bellas, yeah. So this is what I think about the Bellas. I feel like, in my personal opinion, I think that Nikki is a better wrestler than Brie, but that's only because Brie is god awful. I mean, to be real, like Brie, if I had to rank her wrestling out of 10, is probably like a 2 or a 3. I mean, like, that girl is just shit. So me saying that Nikki is better than Brie is not really, a compliment, because that's like, it's not better. That's like saying like a dirty floor is better than having a pile of shit on the floor. Like, it's not that much better. No, I'm not saying that she was like Nikki was horrible. I'm just saying that it's not saying much that you're better than Brie, because just about every damn body was better than Brie. Like, she just legit was a horrible wrestler, in my opinion. Let's see here. The Bellas legit made me stop watching for years. I came back when both of them retired. It was more Brie than Nikki for me, but I can see y'all's point on that. Yeah, Nikki or Brie was just god awful in every single way. And at a certain point, she was trying to be like female Daniel Bryan, because she started doing the yes lock or LaBelle lock, whatever you want to call it now. But yeah, she sucked. I think The Rock don't like his black side. I can see why you say that. I could, because, there was Rocky Johnson. He was a wrestler. So why wouldn't you want to pay homage to somebody who was a wrestler, especially if it was your daddy? You know what I mean? And he was a foundational Black American. What does it say here? Booker T, Ron Simmons from WCW, and The Rock. I forgot that Ron Simmons was a champion at a certain point. Was he a WWE champion or WWF champion, or was he a WCW champion? Because I can't remember, to be honest. The Rock is black when it benefits him. Of course he is. Because I mean, like he'll appear in some black movies, especially like he was in that Tyler Perry movie at the very end. He was in that Why'd I Get Married Too. He was gonna be the suggested love interest to Patricia, like Janet Jackson's character. So like they'll have him in shit sometimes, but like for the most part, when it comes to WWE and doing business with them, I mean he's straight Samoan. Let's see here. I never see Dwayne had a black love interest in his movies. Exactly. That's another thing too. He just doesn't really promote that side, you just don't see him like really dabbling into sisters. Like I said, the only suggested role where he may have had a black love interest was the one I mentioned, which was Why Did I Get Married Too? But again, we didn't really see nothing pop off with them. We just saw them meet each other to possibly go out for coffee, but we ain't see shit else other than that. Let's see here. Shout out to Trick Williams. Trick Williams is the truth. I like Trick Williams. I just think that they're going to bury him like they did everybody else. There's so many phenomenal black wrestlers, like male and female both. They just don't really want to do anything with them, because I think that if they really promoted their black wrestlers, I mean, like literally, like the ones that I could really see as champions, other than Bianca, of course, would be like from NXT. I could see Trick as a champion, Montez Ford as a champion, Carmelo Hayes could be a champion. I think when they have Jada Parker on the main roster, I think that she would make a good champion as well too. That chick has one hell of a mouthpiece, and I mean, like, she's one hell of a looker as well too. Let's be real. That's a cute woman. Let's be real. So that's why I said, like, I think that when it comes to the wrestlers, like the black wrestlers, male and female, I think that they all could really body it, but they're just probably going to get buried because that's how WWE handles shit. What does this say here? That's why they say if you are mixed, you are generally what your mother is. They are the ones that teach the culture. Yeah, I heard that as well too. See, my rule on that, I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not really too strict with that. As long as you, in my eyes, are considered biracial, like half black, half white, you black to me. You a king or you a queen to me. I'm just gonna be totally honest. I don't get into all that. Oh, if your mother was white, or if you are black, if one of your parents is black, you're black for me. Now, it gets to a certain point where you get diluted and like you're just white again, right? But like if you got a black parent and a white parent, I don't care who is what, you're black to me. Let's see here. Depends. For example, look at Haiti. Wait, what does Haiti have to do with it? I don't know what y'all talking about, but it looked like y'all about to get into a little debate. Uh-oh. Let's see here. Tiffany is mid at best. I agree with that. 100% agree. The thing about Tiffany, like I said, is they're promoting her because of the way that she looks. They're not trying to emphasize it. They're like for real, but they're trying to promote her based on her looks. And it's starting to become forced too, because they're trying to throw Trish Stratus behind her and all this other shit. So I kind of noticed that because naturally Tiffany Stratton is not even like really a good face. So putting Trish with her makes her seem like she's a face. And they're trying really hard with that. That's why they're pushing like this thing where she's having a feud with Nia. And to be honest with you, I'm not a big Nia Jax fan either, but I've been rooting for Nia every time that they've been fighting. And to be quite honest with you, the feud that Tiffany has been having with Nia has almost made Nia look better. Like, I don't know how else to say it. Like, Nia is just not as bad as she usually is whenever she feuds with Tiffany. And it's not because Tiffany is just stellar. It's just because, like, I probably just don't care. So she plays the role of being like a monster heel better. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't consider The Rock black. Fair enough. He's FBA because of the fact that his daddy is, and I wouldn't disrespect the fact that his dad is a foundational Black American, and their family and whatnot. But at the same time, I get what you mean because of the way that he kind of goes about shit, because he's always promoting his Samoan side and he never promotes his black side. Isn't he Samoan? He is Samoan. His mama is Samoan, but his dad is black. Rocky Johnson is black. So I'm saying all that to basically say he is, but like he doesn't promote that side unless, again, I think Horace said, is convenient. The Rock loves Meg the Stallion in real life, though. Lust is a better word. There you go. I mean, Meg the Stallion is somebody who would be considered fine by basically any man, if we're being totally honest. It don't matter what race they are. Unfortunately for Trick Williams, if you're mixed, you're mixed, not black. It's two separate things. It's ignorant to pretend it's not two separate things. Not to be mean, but it just is. Now, I consider him black, and the reason why I consider him black is because there's a lot of people who, you know, are biracial, who have made like a lot of great strides like for black people. And I also think that it puts them, I think that continues the conundrum of the mixed person confusion that I think happens quite often, because a lot of us will talk about how you know, a lot of them like don't really know what they want to identify as, and they'll say, I got hate from both sides. And it's like, you weren't really getting hate from both sides. You know, a lot of you all were either samboing, or you're just not really seeing the big picture, or you're just in love with like your white friends and things like that. Because think about like for example, where you have, you know, somebody like you know, Colin Kaepernick. He kind of stood out, right? Colin Kaepernick was somebody who was willing to call out the racism and the bullshit of his white parent, right? But you know, then you get some people who are mixed, and they almost like allow themselves to be pawns for the white supremacists as long as they are white passing. Like, you know, you have different types, but I think a lot of them like kind of just get confused, you know. So my feeling is, this is just me. I consider them part of the black community as long as they accept themselves as part of the black community. Let me see here. Despite her being mixed, Mercedes Moné is more connected with her blackness than The Rock. You know, I was gonna say that when it comes to the whole idea of The Rock, or no, not The Rock, Mercedes Moné, or I guess Sasha Banks in this case, it's like I agree but disagree. The reason why I say I agree but disagree is because, I mean, look at her significant other. You don't really see her with a black. I think is that her husband or is that her fiance? I don't really know, but he's not black. So that's the only thing that I have a problem with her. And even with like that whole boss gimmick and stuff like that, you know, but I mean, like, to your point though, I guess if you're comparing her to The Rock, I guess I would agree with that. Mercedes is one of the best female wrestlers right now, but she's a confident black woman, so the internet hound her for stating her worth. You know, the thing about like the whole the thing with like Mercedes is or I guess you know, Sasha Banks, whatever you want to call her at this point. You know, I like the fact that she will call out certain things. Like, even when she was talking about WWE, she talked about, you know, Vince's behavior like towards her, and she kind of, her and Naomi kind of like stood up, you know, when all that stuff was kind of going down and the way that they were being treated and whatnot. Now, one could argue, you know, that may or may not have, you know, have been about race and all this other stuff, but you know, I will give it to her that she did stand up and she did say that and did point that out. And I think that that kind of goes in lines with this whole idea of, you know, there's a lot of microaggressions and things like that that happen in like the workplace with like a lot of black people. And yeah, and regardless if you see her as mixed, black, or whatever, like, you know, the white supremacist sees them as black. And you could kind of see that with her talking about the way that Vince McMahon was talking to her and all this other shit. Black people are too comfortable giving away the black card. Well, I don't know if you're talking about me subliminally, but I'm not giving away the black card. They're just black. If they're black, they're black. So, I mean, take it or leave it and do what you want with it. Let's see here. Carmel Hayes been the only male full black wrestler to compete in PLE since WrestleMania 40, not counting I Show Speed and Rumble. By the way, shout out to you, fam. I appreciate the donation. I appreciate it so much. But yes, when it comes to Carmelo Hayes, I think that like just watching his matches, you can just tell that he is just an athletic prodigy. I think that he is somebody who definitely should be put on more, but he's not going to be. He's going to be made into a joke. They're making him into a chicken shit. So that's my thing. I don't really I think that like he's a case study to show you that anytime that they promote a black wrestler and they put that wrestler on, they call them up from NXT, that they're going to be treated a certain way. So yeah. But yeah, going back though, you know, the other thing I thought about too, as a wrestling fan, but see, I be trying to take on too much is how can black people get together and start their own like wrestling program or some shit where they can kind of gatekeep shit, and there's just a certain way that it's promoted, and certain people who are better as wrestlers are put on better than others. Like how can that concept happen? And if that thing was started, who would start it? Like in my head, I wonder like how something like that could actually happen, right? Let's see here. Bruh, I'm ready to see Montez shine. Watch, it's all gonna change when Trick Oba come up to the main roster. I don't even believe that. I actually disagree. And the reason why I disagree is because you can just see the history of how black wrestlers have been treated when they're called up from NXT. Like I understand the hype. And it's funny because I made a post a while ago with where people basically where I made a post a while ago where I said that they don't treat black wrestlers well, and this was before Carmelo Hayes was on the main roster. And people were like, "Well, when Carmelo Hayes gets called up, things are going to change, and you're going to see more of that." Or do you at least believe that's going to happen? And I told them straight up at that time, no, they're going to make him into a joke. And here we are in 2025, and he's literally the joke that I said that he was going to be. Like that's the reason why I disagree with that, because you can just see again as a case study, how they treated his character, and how they treat black wrestlers when they are called up. That's my problem with it. I don't know. Obafemi is great, right? Trick Williams is great. So I don't disagree with that part. But as far as it's going to be better when they get called up, I just don't think that they promote them the way that they need to. Like so, and you can look at Carmelo now and just tell that they don't. If black people are united on a deep level, we can surpass the WWE and any wrestling company in the world. Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I think that, and I've talked about this before because I talk about this a lot, like in my own lane. We need to create our own spaces. We need to create our own spaces when it comes to media and all other areas of activity that are dominated by white supremacy. And so for me, my whole goal, and I told y'all before, is to create authentic black content, but then to like own it in a way where I can take the things that I'm creating, like comics and books and things like that, and turn them into TV shows, movies, and all these other things, right? And so I'm saying all that basically to say we need to try to find a way to do that in every department. And so it would be nice to see somebody create a black owned wrestling company where black wrestlers can be given the promotion that they deserve, and can almost to a certain extent even be competitive with what you see from a WWE or even an AEW, because what a lot of people like to do is I need to watch AEW more to kind of see what they do with their wrestlers, because I haven't really had a chance to analyze it because I'm too busy watching WWE and how their product is going. I feel that a lot of people try to say, well, WWE is not doing what they're supposed to, so I'm going to run to AEW and do this and do that. But it's to me like I haven't watched AEW, but it kind of sounds like running from fire to run to poison, like and that type of deal. Let's see here. They really don't. People got to wake up to Triple H's BS, man. He just see black wrestlers as entertainers. Yeah. And well, he sees them as pawns, for different schemes, like I talked about, He sees them as pawns to create diversity messages and shit like that. You know, he doesn't really see them as individuals who can be promoted as champions. Because again, the image of a black person, specifically a black man, being promoted as a champion is something that can inspire black kids because they see somebody who looks like them on television. And again, if this is a product that is, supposed to be, that like kid friendly, if there's a black kid who's watching this and they see a black champion, they're going to be inspired by the champion they see. There's already a black promotion, and I think it's FBA as well. Oh yeah, you know what? You're right. It is ASC Wrestling. I forgot about that because Corey the Truth. I don't know if he's on here. I know he said he might come through a little bit later. He did say that there is that ASE wrestling thing. I need to check out that a little bit more just to kind of see what that's about. Now that you said that, so thank you, Horace, for bringing that to my attention. I almost forgot because in my head I'm like, oh yeah, there's no wrestling promotion that black people started. I forgot that ASE is a thing. So yeah, so I take back my statement on that. By the way, the last time a black wrestler had a one-on-one match on a PLE, Omos versus Seth, Backlash 2023. What they did with Omos, so I think that with Omos, they have this thing where they sometimes with black wrestlers, they try to, what's the word I'm looking for? They try to, I think they do this with a wrestler regardless of their race, but Omos just got thrown into this category. Their way of not promoting him is they kind of like put him into the slayable giant category. Some wrestlers get turned into these slayable giants where they're just so big, so humongous, so just over the top large, much larger than these already large humans, that being wrestlers, that they are not treated as an actual champion, but more so as some type of obstacle that a smaller wrestler can overcome. Again, going back to the David and Goliath concept that I talked about with Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar. So Omos just got thrown into that category because he's just so damn big. It was easy to just say, well, he's just going to be the big bad monster, so that's how we're just going to throw him away, and then we're just going to have all these white wrestlers just basically take him down. And hell, it was so bad they even made Brock Lesnar the David in their David and Goliath feud. And Brock Lesnar ain't no small dude, and he was looking like real miniature when he was facing Omos. So it's so bad with him. I mean, they'll literally feed him to big guys who are smaller than him. So that's what I'm saying. Like, they kind of put him into that type of thing. Let's see here. Much power and respect to ASE Wrestling, black-owned pro wrestling promotion. Yep, most definitely. True, look it up. Fucking sad. AEW is better than WWE when it comes to their matches. Their pay-per-views are amazing. Okay, I'm gonna have to check out AEW a little bit more because I've seen a few episodes, but I really haven't had a chance to watch it like that. I might actually go back and watch it from like previous years and stuff like that, just so I can kind of just get caught up on what the storylines are and whatnot. What's being said here now? AEW promos their black wrestlers more, but they don't have that many. They lost Ricky Starks off some BS, but Swerve is fantastic. Hobbs is heating up too, and Athena has been champ for like 2 years. The thing about Athena, or Ember Moon, I guess in the case of WWE, is that Athena was probably WWE's most athletic female wrestler, if we're being honest. I mean, her moves were always clean no matter what she did. Now, most people did not pay attention to her because she was not really promoted at all. But she might have been their best female wrestler. Not just black female wrestler. She was their best female wrestler, period. In my opinion. Her and Bianca Belair, I think, are top two. But going back, though, it makes sense why she's champion because she was a phenomenal wrestler, like 10 out of 10 when it came to her wrestling. Now, when it comes to like her mic work, I didn't really hear it very much when I was in WWE, so I'd have to hear it more when in AEW. But regardless, she was some baby girl was something else in the ring. Let's just be real. Let's see here. What else we got? She's undefeated, the fallen goddess. Interesting. Okay. Also, Brock has thrown every black champion. I know people are saying a lot of stuff that I was talking about earlier. I actually talked about that. I talked about how like all the black champions get fed to Brock Lesnar, and then it's just a wrap after that. Lashley and Shelton are the tag champions, and they just beat Private Party, and they were the first all-black tag team as well, I think. It would be nice to see because I think Cedric Alexander, he got released from WWE, right? So it would be nice to see him go to AEW and then rejoin the Hurt, I guess, Syndicate at this point, right? It's Hurt Syndicate, not Hurt Business. It would be cool to see him join that. It would be good to see a thing where it's Bobby, MVP, Shelton Benjamin, and then Cedric Alexander all together again. And maybe at some point they even build up the faction even more. So if you got HBO Max, you can watch a lot there and catch up. Okay, cool. I'll keep that in mind. Are you familiar with the Triple H promo? Man, so Miguel G, everything you're talking about, I actually talked about earlier today. So I actually brought up the whole thing with Triple H and Booker T earlier, and how he was talking about, he had that nappy hair and all that. I think Triple H is comfortable with anti-black racism. And at this point, because he runs the company, he can't be blatantly anti-black. He can be kind of covert with it. That's truly what I think is going on with that. And that's why he was comfortable cutting that promo. But now he'll say shit like, I don't see color, because he literally is trying to be a covert racist. Like, it's very clear. So that's kind of my thing with that. Now, going back though, one thing I wanted to talk about with Triple H real quick. Have y'all noticed too, going into Elimination Chamber, Triple H made it where they're not going into the chamber with no black champions. Like, I get that a lot of people wanted that Naomi and Bianca team to basically fall to the wayside. And I'm one of those people included, because I want to see Bianca in the main picture. But I noticed that with them losing the belts before Elimination Chamber, that means that we're going into the chamber with nothing but non-black champions. Like, I don't know if y'all noticed that, but I don't think that that's an accident. I think that was purposefully done, because it's a way to basically, I don't know what that was. That it's a way for them to basically, make it so that when they're going into the road to WrestleMania, all the people who are just slated to obviously be on stage will be non-black wrestlers. So I just found it to be pretty interesting. Let's see here. All that Travis Scott, show speed, etc., all entertainment. Yep. Oh yeah. And that's what they'll do too. They'll get like YouTubers who, they're just doing stuff to kind of have theatrics and to be performative. They'll put like them, especially a lot of the black ones, and people especially who are willing to kind of disrespect the lineage. Even I'm talking about like Kai Cenat, like, because I know Kai Cenat has had like some slick shit to say about FBAs, by the way. They'll put them on and stuff like that, because they know that they're performative and they don't really like challenge anything and stuff like that. They would never have somebody like me on if I was ever to get big, because I talk about how their product is like they be doing racist shit. So like they wouldn't put nobody like me on. And again, I want to make it clear, I still like wrestling and I still watch, because I'm able to separate the anti-black stuff from the stuff that I actually like, and it's also a good case study. But it doesn't mean I'm not going to call it out or say that there needs to be something different or better. And it doesn't mean that I won't walk away when I feel like it's too much for me. And I feel like that's how we all should be. We all should be working and supporting things that are going to promote black people well. So even with ASE wrestling, which I'm glad you brought up, Horace, we should, be looking at things like that more and seeing how, black people can be like promoted better, on that type of thing. I think that the problem is that a lot of people are just used to mainstream things. They're used to this idea of, watching promotions that have a lot of luster and great lighting and all this other stuff that make it an attractive product. So I think that's why it's so hard for people to kind of like decenter themselves from that. That's why we have to do the work to try to create things. And I'm talking outside of WWE at this point, but I'm talking fast as hell. I said WWE, like I said it all fast and shit. But anyway, that's why we have to work to create things, even outside of WWE, that are owned and controlled by us, right? Let's see here. This isn't a two. We in this hole. This isn't a hole. My B fam. I speak Ebonic, not the Queen's English. Wow. Shout out to Athena, world champion, Ring of Honor women's champion. Yeah, I had just talked to, I just realized I was just talking, I just said, I just realized something. I just said, like, I wish Corey the Truth was in this chat, but I feel like the My Voice channel, Corey the Truth, is that you, like, on the My Voice channel? I just want to make sure, because I feel like you probably have been here this whole time. I'm like, I wish Corey the Truth was in this chat, but I just wanted to just clarify that real quick. But anyway, okay, cool. That's what I thought. Cool. I just want to make sure, because I'm speaking about you as if you're not here and you are here. So my bad about that. But going back, yeah, like, as far as Athena, like I said, I think that she was the best wrestler on WWE, like the best a female wrestler, that is, that I believe that they had, just in wrestling ability alone. I think that she was the best. And like I said, I would put Bianca second. But yeah, that's good that, like, she's being promoted more as champion on other programs, because, like, again, she had a lot of skill and they really just didn't do her any justice. Are those the only options that you're aware of? What do you mean by that? Yep, I'm black and white like that. Corey the Truth. Okay, so that's just him repeating that. Okay, so going back. So yeah, when it comes to WWE, as far as, like, predictions, as far as what they're going to do with the black wrestlers and whatnot, I think it's going to be the same old, same old. I really don't think that they're going to continue to promote black wrestlers outside of maybe Bianca, because they've already established something with her and they know that they can kind of use her as, again, a marquee for diversity. I don't really think that they are going to I don't think that they're going to promote a lot of other wrestlers like that. I think y'all can lose your hopes about Montez Ford, because they're just not going to promote him. They're going to keep him in Street Profits. They may do the heel turn for a little bit, then after that, they may just turn him face, and he's still in the damn tag team. But if I do want to say this, if I was writing WWE, this is what I would do right now. Like, going into WrestleMania, if I could just, like, if somebody said, you know what, you got the pin for an entire year, write the WWE storylines the way you want to write it. So I'm gonna speak post WrestleMania. So whoever is champion, I would make it so that the Street Profits are heels for a little bit, and then I would make it so that they would, get into a beef and they would break up. And I would make maybe Dawkins the heel and Montez the face, or what you could do is do the opposite. And if you have a face champion, whoever wins one of the main belts, I'm assuming between Cody and whoever he faces, have him go against maybe like a heel Montez, or a face Montez go against a heel champion if a heel is going to win against Cody. And then have it where Dawkins, when he ends the feud with Montez, goes on to maybe fight for for either the Intercontinental belt or maybe the US belt. So I would make a different, either US champion, like maybe I would make AJ Styles the US champion, and then have Dawkins face him for the US belt. And then what I would probably do in the women's division is I would just totally just strip Tiffany of that damn belt. And then I would make it where, there would be some type of feud where I'm trying to think of the way that I probably would put it, but because I'm trying to tell you all how I would, like, book all this on the fly. I would make it where Bianca maybe was feuding with Rhea Ripley, and then maybe, like, I would put Naomi in the picture somehow as well too. Bianca gets the belt and it turns into a feud with Jade, and with Naomi, I don't know what I would do. I would try to build B-Fab up, because I would make it so that if Bianca was a heel and then Naomi was a heel, according to the storyline that they're trying to pull, that I would build B-Fab up and have her be the face to face Naomi. So it would be like two black women facing each other for the possibility of a championship. So I'm trying to think of like the way that I would do all this, but that's off the top of my head. That's what I would do right now. Intercontinental Championship, I would definitely find a way to give that belt to Carmelo Hayes because I think that he wrestled well enough that he should have it. So that's what I would do though right now. Just thinking about like the different championship bouts, and then with the tag team championships, I would promote the New Day a lot better than what the fuck they're doing right now. Like it's all right that they did the whole thing with the heel turn. That's cool. And I know they needed a refresh, but all they're literally doing is the same shit every week where they come out, everybody boos the hell out of them. Everybody talks about how these Negroes are so wrong because of what, they did with Big E and how mean they were to him. And by the way, y'all, they're really milking that shit. It's like, first of all, let's be real. Xavier and Kofi low-key had a point, right? They actually have a right to be mad if you really look at the storyline. And on top of that, too, it's not like they was beating Big E's ass. They just were like kind of mean to him. That's it. So they're mad at him like he did what Seth Rollins did to the Shield. Like that's how they're treating the New Day. But anyway, my point is that with them being heels, my thing is, it's like I feel like it would be cool if they could make it where they were like heel champions again. They also need to give Xavier back Francesca so he has an edge. They need to add something to the mix to kind of spice them up. Let them be the leaders of like the tag team division and let other people compete against them. And by the way, y'all, whatever happened with that Odyssey shit? Like, why did they never bring him back now that like it's a thing where he's, saying that, he was innocent of like abuse, of domestic abuse? Why haven't they brought him back? Because my thing is, well, then bring back Odyssey and put him on the team, since like he's clear and all that other stuff. But we all know that that's another thing too. That with the Odyssey Jones situation, we all know that they were looking for an excuse to get rid of him. They didn't want another black person up in there. So they were going to roll whatever story they had because there were other wrestlers that have been accused of domestic abuse and they're still like hailed as wrestlers who, are respected or they're still in the roster. Like I heard a rumor about JD McDonough. I don't know how true that is. I heard about Stone Cold Steve Austin. I mean, like, so it's like the rules are just different. So you can see like I said, the differential treatment. See, it's a lot going on. Yes, Montez is ready, fam. Do you know Big Swole? Big Swole was funny, and I miss her in AEW. Wish they were on good terms. She had big energy, and I wanted to see her and Cedric in the company doing mixed matches. Yeah. Yep, I remember Big Swole. I see him like a Michael Jackson type of gimmick. You see who like a Michael Jackson type of gimmick? Awesome Kong versus Naomi. Whew. Awesome Kong is a big chick. Awesome Kong was a sweetie, love her. Didn't like the name, but she did her thing. Yeah, she did. I agree with that. She did do her thing. I wasn't a fan of the name either, but like, I did like her like as a wrestler and like just her character. New Day turned heel and they ain't done anything that made an impact. They're doing that on purpose, right? Because there is a way that they could actually, promote the New Day because the New Day has so many accolades. Like there's so much they could give them new catchphrases. They could have switched up the name, 2-Day or some shit. They could have done a lot of there's a lot of things that they could do. They could allow them to actually cut promos because if you listen to them even now, the promos that they're cutting are actually decent, but they're just getting overbooed every time, and then they just cut the segment. And then they keep putting them in matches with people like Rey Mysterio or like the LWO or whatever the hell their names are at this. Like they keep putting them in these irrelevant ass matches instead of putting them with like, putting them against like in championship bouts where they're winning the belts and they're the team to beat. Like they're not doing that with them. They're just making it so that every time they're on stage, they're just booed off of it. Let's see here. They didn't even beat Big E down. They just told him to kick rocks. That's what I'm saying. It's not like they did what Seth Rollins did. By the way, I was going to say, just on the note of WWE storyline writing, for those of y'all who watch, are y'all getting tired of Seth Rollins? Like, I feel like the self-righteous shit just doesn't really hit for me. And also, too, I don't remember him ever apologizing to Roman Reigns. I just want to say, as a side note, for those of y'all who watch wrestling, like, Like, do y'all get tired of that shit? Like every week, he's always bitching about somebody selling out. Like, I don't know. Like, I just thought about that. But anyway, going back, when it comes to the Big E thing, yeah, they didn't beat his ass. They didn't jump him. They didn't they just didn't actually harm him. They basically told him that they didn't really want him as a part of the group, and he wasn't shit basically, and they didn't give a fuck about his his injury and whatnot. But that was really about it. And to be quite honest, like, I mean, beyond the tone, like, they had a point if you think about it, because Big E like could have been their manager that whole time, but he was just chilling. He was at the announce table. He was kind of doing his thing, so he wasn't really supporting them. So one of the reasons why they were having issues is because he wasn't there, and they were kind of irritated because they felt like he had abandoned them. So I could kind of see like why they're justified. So I think they're just milking the whole heel thing now, and now it's getting to a point where it's starting to become irrelevant. Let's see. LOL, but they white, so they ain't gonna get in trouble for real. Of course. Montes, MJ type of persona. Oh, I see. Yeah, I guess I could kind of see that, I guess. But I don't know. I just think that he has the chops where there's a lot of different gimmicks they could put him in, and he could sell it, to be honest. I just think they're purposefully not. I wouldn't be surprised if this was something that he actually knew himself, though, too. Awesome booking, brother. I appreciate it. Yeah, because in my head, I'm doing this on the fly, by the way. This is on the fly thinking. Because like there's a lot of ways where they could actually put a lot of the black wrestlers in a good position, but they choose not to. And don't get me wrong, all this talk about black wrestlers doesn't mean that I don't like some of the white wrestlers. What I'm saying is some of the people who they promote, that they big up, that they put on stage more than the black wrestlers and stuff like that, they're really not all that. And to be quite honest, I'm gonna say something too, and this opinion might get me stoned. I don't know if you're a fan of her, Horace, but I just want to say this. I think Rhea Ripley's kind of overrated too. Like, I don't know. I kind of just don't get the hype. Like, I think people think that she's got this gothic look. She wears the black lipstick, and she has this Australian accent, and she seems like she's badass and all this other stuff. And people just think she's like the hottest thing smoking. And it's just like, I mean, she's a decent. I think she's a pretty good wrestler. Like, she's better than a lot of the ones that I mentioned, but she's just not all that to me. And even in that Liv Morgan feud, I was actually rooting for Liv, to be honest. So I don't know. I can't really get behind her. I don't really see the hype. And even if they do have a Rhea Ripley, like, I feel like a good feud for her would be like somebody like a Bianca. So, I mean, like, hopefully they move in that direction where they have the two of them feud, since they were enemies in NXT. But I just don't get the hype with her. I don't know if it's just me. I don't understand it. Let's see here. They don't play about abuse. Rich Swann got cut, and they ain't ever call him back. Odyssey ain't coming back unless your name's Vince or Brock. You can't come back from an abuse allegation. I'm going to be honest with you. Again, I've said that a lot, but I'm going to be totally honest. I think that they don't accept it if it's a black person, because there's been a lot of rumors that have flown around about people, like I said, like JD McDonough and Stone Cold Steve Austin doing the same thing. Whether they did it or they didn't, there are rumors flying around about it. And these people didn't get cut, and they're still either wrestlers or held in high esteem. So I think that they're doing this with black wrestlers, right? Not just every single wrestler across the board. But, to your point, you did bring up Vince and you did bring up Brock Lesnar. But regardless, it's definitely biased to black wrestlers. Yes, Seth is getting on my nerves. He is doing too much and never apologized to Roman. I thought I was only one, because like, it just, every week it's like he's coming out bitching about, somebody like selling out or some shit, or Roman Reigns and how much he hates him, which that doesn't make any sense. I don't understand why he hates Roman. Roman really didn't do shit to him. It was the other way around. And even the self-righteous thing don't make sense, because in 2022, when he was facing Roman, I mean, he was walking around laughing and dressing like the Joker and shit, and then teasing him about like stabbing him and Dean Ambrose in his back. So I just don't get it. I don't get what they're doing with Seth, and I don't know how they keep pushing this thing where he's like this justice oriented character, and Seth really ain't shit. What do you think of Liv Morgan? I don't think nothing's wrong with Liv Morgan. I think she's decent. Her mic skills to me are better than her wrestling, but I don't think that she's overdone or underdone by WWE, despite her being a blonde, pretty white female wrestler. I think that she's probably given the treatment that she should be given. That's why I don't really have too much of a problem with her. And again, I just don't see an issue with her character. I think that her being annoying is her doing what she's supposed to do. I think that she's improved a lot over the years as well too. So as a wrestler, I do like Liv Morgan. Nah, I can't stand her for that. Rhea is the top 5 right now. You know, no, I can't stand for that. Rhea is in the top 5 right now. Okay, so Horace, let me ask you then. If you think Rhea is in the top 5, first of all, where would you place her, and who are the other, the other 4 wrestlers, who are they? Rhea is a bruiser type smash mouth. Raka Khan is the bomb too. Yeah, with going back to the Rhea thing real quick. Yeah, she is. I just don't get the hype. I just don't get the hype. She's okay. I mean, she's a good wrestler, I would say. But as far as her gimmick, I mean, it's cool. And Rhea's kind of like a Seth Rollins, where there's a level of self-righteousness, and it doesn't make sense to the storyline. It's like they were a part of the central problem of the feuds that they created. Seth is really the real villain of the Bloodline story. Rhea is the real villain of the Liv Morgan Revenge Tour story. If we're looking at what happened, Liv Morgan is very cute and she sells with the sexy shorts, but she's fine. There are better wrestlers, but she deserves her spot. She's fine. She's earned it. I have no problems with Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan, yeah, I agree with everything that you said about her. She is cute. She is, I think that she's an okay wrestler. Like, she's not the best, but like as on the mic, she's pretty good. She knows how to be annoying as hell. I think that the promotion they give her is the promotion she deserves. I just don't really have any complaints about the way she's booked. It's not like a Tiffany where it's just way over the top and just ridiculous. I think that the way that the opportunities that she's been given is what she actually got, or what she deserved to get is what I mean. Rhea is starting to become overrated to me too. Okay, so it's not just me. Cool, because to be honest, I already wasn't really feeling her in that whole Judgment Day storyline. If I'm being real, I'm kind of over Judgment Day in general because they just keep switching up members and shit. But when it comes to like Rhea, even during the Liv Morgan like Revenge Tour storyline, to me, she wasn't really believable as the face. She just happened to be turned on, and as a result, the audience like sided with her. But if you look at the whole story, Rhea was the villain throughout that whole thing. She's the one who turned on Liv. She's the one who was helping start off the Judgment Day with Edge and Damian Priest. And she was, she was continuing to, harp on the whole revenge thing against Liv because Liv got some get back against her. So to me, I personally am not. I just wasn't buying Rhea. And the more that they try to push Rhea onto me, the more overrated she became to me. I just think that they like that she has this strong ass Australian accent. Like she looked like she would, pull a damn kangaroo out of her ass cheeks right now. Like I think they like that shit. They like the fact that she has this like kind of tough goth kind of like gimmick right now. And, the black lipstick and, the black hair and, she kind of looks like a female badass. It doesn't do anything for me personally. Top 5 female wrestlers right now: Bianca, Rhea, Mercedes Moné, Io Sky, and you can argue, but Dakota Kai. You put Dakota Kai in the top 5. Ain't no way in hell you think Dakota. My dog said Dakota Kai. Dakota, no, I'm not shit on Dakota Kai. She's a decent wrestler, but in top 5 though, in the top 5. Now, okay, so I know you said Mercedes Moné, but what if it was just WWE? So who would you say would replace Mercedes Moné as far as WWE? Because if you're talking about AEW as well, Athena is better than just about everybody you name. So let's see. Jade and Rhea are in my top 5. So wrestlers, if I had to put top 5 female wrestler, or yeah, top 5 female wrestlers right now for me, in no particular order in WWE, Bianca for sure, Naomi, damn, I'm trying to think of who the hell's on the roster right now. Io's pretty good. I don't know. Who else? I'd have to think about that one. I'd really have to think about that one. But I would definitely say Bianca, Naomi, Io is in there somewhere. Lyra's pretty good. I wouldn't put her in the top 5 though. Like I said, I think B-Fab's a good wrestler. I don't know if I put her in top 5, but she's definitely up there. I'd have to see more from her, to be honest with you. Yeah, I'd have to think about that some more. I don't know if I'd put Rhea in the top 5 though. Like I just think she's overrated. Just mid, not even top tier mid. Are you talking about when I said Dakota Kai? Cool. Do you think wrestling is too sexual now? I try to watch it. It was all sex, no slams. No, hell no, it ain't too sexual now. It's almost not sexual enough. Like, you know, it's not sexual enough. I feel like and that's why I said there's hypocrisy in WWE. They try to make it where they're trying to say that it's now a kid show, and they're making it where they're like, okay, now we're putting on for women, we're putting on for all different types of people, we're putting on for black people, and it's like, no, black people are the only ones that are really still getting slighted. But part of putting on for women is not having them scantily clad. But my feeling is there should be an element of that still, because there were women who I think just did well in that element. Like, for example, I think they would still have a wrestler like Mandy Rose if they were doing stuff like that, because Mandy Rose just fits that bill. And yeah, you could say that, you know, she's showing ass and titties on OnlyFans, but ultimately it's because she just has the sex appeal. I think that she would be good for something like that. Honestly, I'm be real, like low key, I think Alexa Bliss would be good for something like that. Like, you know, but my point is that, like, I think that some people just fit that bill. And so I think that they should have some form of that there, but they don't. So to answer your question, no, I don't think that it's sexual enough. Let's see here. What's the next thing here? Jade in top 5. You talking in ring or looks? Are you talking to me? Because I actually didn't say. Oh no, you're talking to Natsu Tokyo. Yeah. When it comes to the whole Jade thing, I wouldn't put her in the top 5 either, because Jade to me still has like some work that she needs to do. I don't think that she's a terrible wrestler. Like, I think that people are just dumping on her and nitpicking at her, if I'm being totally honest with you, But when it comes to, the whole ideal of, the like looks, like, yeah, I could see that for sure with looks, but wrestling, no. Oh, he said both. Athena was good on the mic. She's getting real good now, but she can get better. Okay. I gotta check out AEW. I swapped Mercedes, then I reluctantly have to put Charlotte. You put Charlotte in the top 5, dog? No. Charlotte is not a top 5 wrestler. She's not. Charlotte has the only move that Charlotte has that I think is just really something to look at is that damn moonsault, to be honest with you. Because even if you look at her other special move, that natural selection, I don't know if she's still going to do that, but natural selection, to me, that move just didn't really. Something about that move just didn't really like hit for me. It doesn't look like it hurts. Like the only move that I can think of the only move that I can think of that is worse than that out of the female moves is the move that like Sonya Deville did before she got fired. And then was that the Devil's Advocate? That shit looked horrible. Dakota Kai's move now, y'all, I know y'all you was talking about Dakota Kai. That fake ass GTS, that move ain't shit. And the worst of them all is that damn rose plant by Bailey. Like when it comes to like the rose plant, like it's like the fucking the Bailey to Bailey was already like a move that I just really couldn't get behind. But like it kind of made sense because her name was Bailey. You could make a pun, Bailey, Belly, they kind of sound similar and shit. But like when it came to this whole idea of the rose plant, that just took it down a notch. So let's see here. I don't even know where I was at. If I swap Mercedes, then I reluctantly have to put Charlotte. Okay, I heard that already. I guess he/she never saying WWE when Vic was in control. When Vince McMahon was in control, I'm assuming. Okay. Charlotte is a reluctant choice. It shouldn't be a choice at all, man. I just think that like sometimes what happens in WWE is because they promote certain wrestlers more than others, and they handpick who they want to promote, and shit like that. I mean, I was going to say, I feel like a lot of people would just assume she's just so great. No, they've just handed her the belt so many fucking times. So you think that she's actually great, but she's not. So yeah, let's see here. Saw, are you ignoring my question? What question am I ignoring? My top 5 black women pro wrestlers. Mercedes Moné, Athena, Bianca, Naomi, Jay Cargill. Okay. I could fuck with that list. I could fuck with that, man. Like for real, because that makes sense. Now, I obviously with Jade, because like an example of a wrestler that I think is better than Jade is I don't know, do y'all consider her black, like Zelina Vega? Like, isn't she like an Afro Latina? Like, if she is, do you consider her black? Like, I think she's pretty good. She just is little as hell, so like a lot of people don't pay attention to her. I think that like what's her face? Like I said, B-Fab is pretty decent. Other black wrestlers, like I'm kind of drawing a blank on all of them. Lash Legend is pretty good. I have to see more of her though to really kind of give that critique. Got to see more of Jada to give that critique. Got to see more of Jakara to give that critique. So there's a lot of black wrestlers who I just need to see more of them. I like Nyla Rose. Black BBW wrestlers are the best. I just thought that she was just like a big girl. Like, yeah, I thought that I haven't really checked out Nyla Rose. BBW. Yeah. Jade has a lot more to go. I don't know how she be in your top 5, but I guess she's the we having a debate here. Let's see. Charlotte, although nepotism, she gives people some of their best matches. She's just over pushed, and that's her flaw. People will never believe her as a babyface because she gives everything. Let's see here. Easy up on Dakota. Bailey to Belly, top 10 worst finishers. Okay, so top 10 worst finishers. I don't think I can name 10 right now, to be honest with you. But one thing I was gonna say is that Bailey to Belly I wouldn't put in the top 10. I probably would put Rose Plant. That Rose Plant ain't shit. I probably would put, like I said, Deville's Advocate. That ain't shit. That fake ass GTS. That Dakota Kai. That ain't shit. Wasteland really wasn't shit. Hulk Hogan's move. That wasn't shit. Big Show's KO punch. That wasn't shit. It's a lot of them that is really weren't anything, right? Let's see here. Nyla Rose, BBW. Zelina is Puerto Rican accent. Okay, I wasn't sure if she was an Afro Latina or whatever, because I thought I read somewhere that she considered herself an Afro Latina, but I wasn't exactly sure. Like, because if you look at her, she's pretty heavily melanated. You know what I mean? And she more so does identify with the Hispanic culture than she does identify with being black. So it would make sense why she would identify as that. My question is: have transgenders infiltrated women's WWE that you know of? I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so. I didn't know you asked that question though to me. No, she's PR, but she's cool. If you have to ask, they're not black. But listen, y'all, I have been on this thing for literally almost 2.5 hours. So I've been chopping it up with y'all. It has been a really good discussion. And I definitely am planning to do another one of these. Maybe not like next week or anything like that, but I definitely want to do something in the near future and have y'all come on and come chop it up with me and whatnot. But what I was going to say is, I'm going to have another topic, but I'm going to have y'all vote on it and we can kind of see what y'all want me to talk about. I know this is a very popular one. There's a lot of people like, oh yeah, this shit's going to be good. You know, a lot of people were saying stuff like that, especially in the comments and whatnot. But yeah, I want to talk about WWE some more because there's a lot of other things that we can really dive into, especially when it comes to the black wrestlers and things like that. And, you know, we covered a lot and stuff like that. But you know, there's other things that I definitely want to say. Now, I do want to ask y'all this, especially for those of you all who are still here, like the Horace and all y'all and Corey. So as far as black female wrestlers, this is the last question I want to ask y'all. Black and any of y'all can jump into, by the way, as you're listening. Black female wrestlers, based off of looks, how would you rank them? Like, who would you put in your top 5? And they can be from any like wrestling program, but who would you put as far as like looks go in your top 5 black female wrestlers? I'm just curious. I'm curious. I want to see what y'all say. Like Horace, I feel like me and you maybe had this conversation, but I kind of Corey, I'm curious to see like who would you put in your top 5? Let's see here. Zelina could be Afro Latina. I'm gonna have to look it up. Okay. I don't think WWE is that at Progress. To Slender Sporty's question. Yeah, not that I know of. I don't really think that's a thing that they infiltrated it or anything like that with transgenderism or anything like that. I haven't really seen anything about that, to be honest. Let's see here. I don't think okay. They just allowing gay representation without it being as a flat out joke. Yeah, they do allow that. And I've seen like little snippets of things. Like, for example, you had Shayna Baszler where she was trying to receive a stink face from Rhea Ripley. And then like, you know, she closed her eyes, and then like ended up being Nia Jax who was rubbing her ass in her face. And it was like you know, I think that hinted at like at least the LGBT thing, because it's like, you know, Shayna Baszler is obviously like, you know, bisexual and whatnot. So it's like they have her acting in the way that they typically would have had, you know, one of the male wrestlers act basically back in the day. But yeah, they just allowing, okay, I already said that, maybe in 8 more years. Zelina is Afro Latin Puerto Rican descent. Okay, so she is Afro Latina. Okay, so I want to go back to that earlier statement that was made real quick. Somebody said that that Jade Cargill, I think that was Corey. I think that was you, bro. You said that like you put Jade in the top 5. That's the only one I would change. I might say that Zelina was better than I'll probably put Zelina above Jade as a wrestler personally. Let me see here. I remember that video. Yeah. So you saw the video, babe? Yeah, where Shayna, she was in the corner and she was about to receive a stink face. She closed her eyes and she was doing all this shit and she was excited and stuff like that. And then she thought it was gonna be Rhea because Rhea around that time was just known for, you know, sticking her shorts up her ass and then like shoving her ass in people's faces. You know, like it was that type of thing going on. And she thought, and then like she closed her eyes and ended up being Nia Jax. And, you know, she's acting like she was enjoying it until she found out it was Nia. Let's see here. Horace said Bianca, Naomi, Zelina, Jade, and Willow from AEW. Willow. What does Willow look like? Hold up. I'm about to look that up. Willow AEW. Oh, I've seen her before. Okay. And then Mercedes 10, Athena 8, Naomi's a 10, Bianca's a 10, Jade is a 9. In that order. Jade's in my top 5. I'm shocked they don't want to infiltrate. Where are you getting this thing about them infiltrating WWE with that? I haven't heard nothing about that. I'm like, yeah, where are you getting that from? HM to Nia Jackson, Layla from back in the day. Yeah, okay, all right. Yeah, I was gonna say if I had to put a top 5 myself, I would say personally, Bianca for sure. She's not a wrestler. I was gonna say Samantha Irvin, but she's not a wrestler, so I can't even say her. So Bianca, Naomi, I probably would say Jade and Jada Parker, and then last space I probably would put maybe Zelina, probably, but that's like a toss up between her and maybe like Lash for that like last spot. But yeah, it's a lot of like pretty like women on the roster. But yeah, that's why I probably would go for top 5: Bianca, Naomi, Jade, and then probably Zelina and Lash maybe tied. So, all right, y'all. So I'm gonna go ahead. Somebody else said, well, hold on one second. Jade's in my top 5. Okay, I'm shocked. Okay, you already said that. Jade number 1, Bianca Belair second, Kalani Jordan. Who is Kalani Jordan? Kalani Jordan. I've heard that name before. Kalani Jordan. Hold up. Kalani Jordan. I'm like over here looking it up. Oh, I've seen her before. Yeah, she's cute. She's cute. But all right, y'all. So I'm gonna get up out of here for real this time. I will be doing another video next week. I'm not sure if it's going to be a collab yet or if it's actually going to be a video like this live. I want to try to do something like this more so we can get more attention on the channel, on the page. We can talk about more important topics. I thought this topic would be pretty important because it'd be a way for us to chop it up, but also talk about, again, the anti-blackness in WWE. These discussions are much needed, but I definitely want to get into other things as well, too. We'll talk about some TV shows, movies, and things like that, you know, coming up as well too, if those topics ever are voted on and, you know, people want to hear about it. But regardless, we're definitely going to get some things popping. I'm going to have another poll, so please vote on it and let me know what you want to hear from me next. And again, we will definitely get it popping. All right, y'all. I hope y'all have a good rest of y'all's night. I hope y'all have a productive rest of your week because we are at Friday. I hope that y'all have a good weekend, and I will definitely be talking to y'all soon. All right, peace out, y'all.